Today, more than ever, Connie was looking forward to the end of her workday. She had been a bus conductor for 6 years, starting the job before marriage, right after finishing school. Where else could an orphan girl with no name go? One whom no one ever visited. This was her fate, only for the first few years until 4th grade. Then foster parents took her in. They weren't wealthy, already older, and decided to raise a girl in their last active years. They raised Connie as their own, dressing her well, with her father teaching her about life and her mother feeding her delicious meals. But fate decided to test the girl's strength again. Tragedy struck. On that fateful day, Connie's mother let her sleep over at her best friend's house for the first time. It saved her life. Her parents died in a fire because of a short circuit, so Connie became an orphan again. After graduation, Connie had to urgently find work to support herself, but she never found success elsewhere, so she ended up working as a conductor, a job she thought would be temporary, but has lasted until now. Now, she was the wife of a successful man. Her husband Larry holds an executive position at a construction firm, and their home is prosperous and cozy. Larry repeatedly told Connie, "Listen, quit your job. The money you earn is insignificant for our family. You should stay at home. Isn't that better?" To which his wife invariably replied, "Larry, what would I do at home? You're constantly travelling, sitting with your mother. Well, please understand. 2 women with different tastes and views on life won't get along easily. I'm used to being on the move all day among people. I'd go crazy at home." And sometimes she would add, lowering her eyes and sighing, "We don't have children. That's the trouble. If I had a child, I'd immediately quit my job and devote myself to motherhood." However, the lack of children worried only Connie. Larry wasn't particularly eager to discuss the topic, seemingly unburdened by the circumstance. "Well, it's fine," Connie sometimes said to herself. "If God doesn't give us children, maybe I should suggest to Larry that we adopt a boy from the orphanage." Today, however, her thoughts were directed elsewhere. After all, tomorrow would mark an event in their lives. It was 5 years ago that she and Larry got married. These memories of a cheerful wedding and a new life with her beloved husband immediately lifted the woman's mood. But still, somewhere in the back of her mind, these pleasant reflections were slightly marred by a peculiarity of Larry's character. He wasn't good at remembering significant dates in their lives together. Sometimes he even forgot her birthday, much to Connie's dismay. She gave such dates great importance, trying to make each special day unusual and prepare something original for the table. Although Larry, of course, apologized for his forgetfulness, a residue of disappointment remained. Even though his mother-in-law would say in such cases, "Connie, don't pay attention to this. What's so tragic? My son gets twisted up in his work problems and forgets. He loves you anyway. You see, he prepared a present. It's okay that it's late, but he gave it to you, and he apologized." Connie would nod her head in agreement, but think to herself, "That's the way it is. But it's not without reason. They say that a drop of tar spoils a barrel of honey." And at that time, Larry was in the carriage of a fast train, approaching his native city's station. Pleasant thoughts wandered through his head. Soon a joyful meeting would take place. But alas, one would be mistaken to think he was anticipating a meeting with his wife, whom he hadn't seen for several days due to his business trip. Rosie. That was the name that stirred his soul and body. Rosie, his new mistress, who made him literally lose his mind when they met. The young woman filled all his senses. And his wife? Well, as they say, a wife isn't a wall. You can push her aside. So, here we are. Larry, carrying his travel bag, stepped onto the platform, hurrying to the cab stand. The time was approaching midnight, and he still needed to buy a beautiful bouquet somewhere because tomorrow marked a solemn date for Rosie, a year since they met. Sitting in the cab, Larry carefully reached into the inside pocket of his jacket, clutching a small jewellery box. He took it out, opened it, and in the dim light of the street lamps from the fast-moving cab, once more looked with pleasure at the jewellery inside. It's a charming little thing. I'm sure Rosie will love it. She's very fond of such trinkets. But I need a nice bouquet as well. Oh, slow down! Larry suddenly shouted, spotting a lit-up flower shop they had nearly passed. The driver jerked in surprise, the brakes squealed, and the car lurched to a halt. "Why are you yelling like that?" exclaimed the driver. "Are you crazy? We nearly had an accident." "Sorry, I need a bouquet urgently. I just remembered, and this flower shop is the first one I've seen open. I'll be right back." Larry jumped out of the car. Approaching his house, the man having cleverly hidden the box in the bouquet, he was going to leave the bouquet in his car and go to his mistress right away in the morning. But suddenly, Larry remembered with a sigh. Good grief! Today is my and Connie's 5th wedding anniversary. Or is it tomorrow? What an idiot! I almost forgot. It's always like this with me. Good thing I didn't have time to hide the bouquet in the garage. Okay, change of plans. I'll have to give this bouquet to my wife, and I'll buy one for Rosie tomorrow. With these thoughts, Larry pressed the doorbell. A minute later, the door opened and Connie appeared, exclaiming with joy. "Larry, honey, you're here! Oh, and with a bouquet! What a lovely surprise!" "Yes," said Larry. "You always reproach me for not remembering our special dates. But I do remember. This is for you, to celebrate our 5 years of marriage." He held out the bouquet to Connie. "Thank you," Connie said with an odd intonation. "Yes, the anniversary. That's right. But it's only tomorrow." Larry was stunned, not so much by getting the wrong date, again, but because he suddenly remembered. Inside the bouquet was Rosie's present, and in the box, besides the jewellery, there was a note with her name and a wish. The terrible thought pierced his mind, but there was no turning back now. The joyful Connie began setting the table, and his mother-in-law put the bouquet in water. The panicked Larry watched anxiously to see if the box had fallen into the water, breathing a sigh of relief when he realized it remained hidden in the depths of the bouquet. "Well," Larry mumbled, unable to think of anything else to say. "Better early than, Realizing he was about to say something foolish, he trailed off. Unexpectedly, his mother diffused the situation. "Oh, what a gorgeous bouquet you've been given!" she exclaimed. "And they smell divine! So many roses! It's exquisite! Connie, aren't you thrilled? Do you have any idea how much such a beautiful arrangement costs? I'd be over the moon with such a gift." Connie approached the bouquet. It was indeed stunning. She bent down to inhale the fragrance of the flowers and, from the corner of her eye, noticed something glinting among the stems and leaves. Glancing at her husband, she saw he was tense, watching the scene intently, and Connie didn't take out the object, hoping it was a surprise for their anniversary. If her husband hadn't mentioned it, perhaps he intended to give it to her tomorrow. She'd wait and see. They sat down to dinner, but the atmosphere felt charged with an undercurrent of tension. They ate, exchanging trivial remarks. Larry, seizing every opportunity, kept casting furtive glances at the bouquet. What's hidden in there? Connie wondered. He's clearly embarrassed about something. Could Larry have actually bought me jewellery? That would mean he truly loves me. Meanwhile, Larry was tormented by another thought. How on earth can I discreetly retrieve that box from the bouquet? What an idiot I am! How did I get myself into such a mess? And my mother keeps looking at me, trying to figure out what I'm up to. But she doesn't understand a thing. Everything's conspiring against me today." To lighten the mood, Connie began recounting her day. "Larry, I visited the orphanage after work today. They allowed me a glimpse of the children in the playroom. You know, there's one boy who's really captured my heart. His name is Eric. He's so small and thin like a little sparrow, and his eyes are so sad. Honey, I don't need any presents. Please, let's consider adopting him, or at least take him on an outing together. You'll fall in love with him too, I'm sure. You said you'd think about it, remember? As the years go by, we still don't have children, and it's causing me a lot of pain." Connie's attempt failed. Her husband frowned and answered curtly, "This isn't the time for such a discussion. When would I have time to visit orphanages? I'm swamped with work and exhausted. I want my own children, and we'll have them. That's enough of this talk." His mother chimed in. "Connie, I understand how difficult this is for you, but believe me, this noble impulse of yours is misjudged. Think about it. We don't know anything about the child's background. There could be hidden health issues they're not disclosing. We'd all be overwhelmed caring for such a child, and it wouldn't bring happiness to anyone. Be patient. You and Larry are still young. You'll have children of your own. No, I absolutely cannot agree to have a stranger's child in our home. Let's not ruin the family dinner. This subject is closed." Connie was crestfallen, and the rest of the evening proceeded even more awkwardly. Having grown up in an orphanage herself, she felt deeply hurt by her mother-in-law's words, sensing a veiled criticism of her own background. Her mood was completely gone, along with her appetite. Finally, to everyone's relief, the painful dinner ended. Connie began collecting dishes from the table. As she reached the door, carrying them to the kitchen, she caught a glimpse of her mother-in-law surreptitiously reaching into the bouquet and pulling something out. Tormented by doubts, Connie went to her bedroom, while Larry remained in the room with his mother. Dressing for bed, the woman approached the dresser to put things in it, and suddenly from behind the loose door heard the whispering mother-in-law. "What are you thinking, son? Are you openly cheating on Connie? If you're seeing someone on the side, at least cover your tracks. You bought a bouquet and a gift for your mistress and gave it to your wife. Well, let her have it now." "Do you know how much I spent on that jewellery in the box? I didn't plan to give it to Connie. It all went wrong," Larry whispered back. Connie nearly choked with anger. "So, that's how it is. He can't remember our wedding anniversary, but he's up to other things. I'm second fiddle in this family. And Larry has a mistress. And his mother, she's teaching him to cover his tracks." She grasped the doorknob, ready to confront them, but stopped herself. "No, that won't work. They'll just accuse me of eavesdropping and turn it around on me. Fine, Larry. I'll find out who you're cheating with, and then you'll pay for everything. I was a fool to think my husband wanted to please me. How hurtful and disgusting." Connie cried for a long time, unable to calm down. When Larry finally came to bed, she pretended to be sound asleep. The man wanted to defuse the situation, began to stroke the shoulders of his wife, hinting at continuation. But Connie, probably for the first time, dryly muttered, "Don't touch me. I'm tired and want to sleep." Larry wasn't offended at all. He even sighed with relief. Intimacy with his wife hadn't brought him joy for a long time. His thoughts were all about his red-haired mistress, and he quickly fell into a sweet dream, imagining how he'd embrace her tomorrow and shower her with affection. The next morning, Connie woke up feeling completely broken. She had no desire to see her husband or mother-in-law. She quickly got ready and rushed to work without breakfast, swallowing tears and ruminating over yesterday's events. She thought, what a celebration turned out. What a gift Larry gave me. How can I live with him after this? Lie in the same bed, knowing he's caressed another woman. And he lies, saying he loves me. What's the point of living together? Maybe it's better to confront him and end it. With these unhappy thoughts, Connie's workday began. As usual, she collected fares from passengers. The familiar route was almost automatic, but bitter thoughts tormented her. Approaching an elderly, poorly dressed passenger, standing in the aisle and leaning on a cane, she said, "Please, pay the fare." "Just a moment," the elderly man said embarrassedly, fumbling through the vast, torn pockets of his soiled jacket. Nearby passengers smirked, realizing what was happening. Someone even remarked aloud, "Here we go again. Another comedian trying to ride for free. I bet he can't find the money." Connie remained silent and waited patiently. Sure enough, the elderly man looked at her pitifully and mumbled, "I'm sorry, I don't have any money on me right now. I must have forgotten to take it, or I lost it somewhere. Please don't make me get off. I'm going to the cemetery to visit my wife. It's her birthday today." Connie shook her head. According to her instructions, she had to drop off passengers without tickets at the next stop or face a fine herself. The other passengers grumbled. "What are you waiting for? Kick him off. We all want to ride for free. Who do you think you are? You know these stingy old men. He probably has money saved at home, but is trying to skimp." The elderly man stood with his head down, not arguing, and awaiting the conductor's verdict. Connie felt sorry for him. Would she really become poorer by paying the fare for him? She took money from her vest pocket, put it in the fare collection bag, punched a ticket, gave it to the elderly man, and offered him her seat near the driver. "Here's your ticket. Sit down, you can hardly stand. Don't worry, it happens to everyone. I've lost my wallet twice myself." The driver, who had seen this scenario many times, muttered, "Connie, your kindness will be your downfall. You'll spend your entire salary on these freeloaders. Is it worth it?" But Connie replied sharply, "That's my business. Why do you care? Keep your eyes on the road. The ticket's paid for, so there's no violation. Let the old man go where he needs to go." The old man kept thanking the conductor. "You've saved me," he mumbled, embarrassed. "I don't understand how this happened. It's very embarrassing, really." The driver was no longer angry. He was just scolding Connie. He smiled to himself, knowing that Connie's kindness occasionally paid for tickets for children who forgot something, or for the elderly. She has a kind soul, he thought. Connie is a good person. You don't meet such people nowadays. Finally, the bus, tired from carrying passengers, rolled into the depot. Connie, having bid farewell to the driver and handed over the proceeds, exited the gate, searching for the duty delivery vehicle that typically transported workers living far away. The car was unexpectedly delayed. Suddenly, with a squeal of brakes, a massive SUV pulled up beside her. The passenger door swung open, and to Connie's astonishment, out stepped the bus passenger for whom she had bought a ticket earlier that day. However, this elderly, respectable man bore little resemblance to the frail grandfather who had no money. Connie gaped in surprise, her eyes wide, as she tried to comprehend the situation. The man cleared his throat and addressed her. "Hello again, Connie. I apologize once more for the inconvenience this morning," he said, turning to face her. "If you have a moment, might we step aside for a brief chat?" "All right," she replied hesitantly. "But I'm worried I'll miss the delivery car, and it's quite a trek home." "Oh, don't fret about that," her interlocutor assured her. "My driver can take you wherever you need to go." He continued, "My name is Mr. Alvarez. What I'm about to say may sound strange, but my life circumstances require me to make decisions swiftly." "What are you talking about? What does this have to do with me?" Connie exclaimed, bewildered. "I'll explain," the elderly man went on. "The truth is, I'm terminally ill and have no living relatives. My wife has passed and my son died in a car accident. I'm not a poor man. I've achieved success through my own efforts. It appears that either my money will go to the state after my death, which I'd rather avoid, or I need to bequeath it to someone. After much deliberation, I decided to leave it to a person who would help me in a moment of need. That person is you, Connie. Don't be shocked. Before coming here, I learned everything about you. Money, you see, can unlock any secret." "Your words have left me at a loss, Mr. Alvarez," Connie replied, her voice tinged with confusion. "You're wealthy, but why were you riding the bus today, and without a penny to your name?" "That was my plan," the man explained. "You see, had I been dressed as I am now, people would have given me money without hesitation, don't you think? And they wouldn't have grumbled. No one sees beggars as people. They assume the money won't be returned anyway. But you showed a kind heart. You didn't hesitate to pay my fare and ensure I was seated. That means you're a person with integrity, a rare find these days. Please, accept my inheritance. Respect an old man's will." "No, Mr. Alvarez," Connie said respectfully. "I cannot accept such an inheritance. It doesn't feel right." "I'm truly sorry to hear that," the man replied, his voice breaking. "However, please consider it. The money could be used for various good causes if you don't need it yourself. If you change your mind, you can find me at the regional hospital. They've admitted me for tests." With a bitter smile, he added, "As if I don't already know the diagnosis. I've seen so many doctors, and the prognosis is always the same." After a pause, he said, "Just don't take too long to decide. I'm unlikely to remain in this world much longer." It turned out that their conversation was inadvertently overheard by some mechanics from the bus repair garage. One of them, who knew Connie's husband well, immediately called his old school friend. "Hey, Larry, it's David Cronin. Listen to this. Your wife must be touched in the head. She just turned down an inheritance. I heard it myself. Some rich old guy decided to give his assets and money, but she refused and left. I couldn't believe it. You should talk to her. Why refuse money falling from the sky? It's madness. You've lucked out. You've got yourself a promotion, and now your wife's practically won the lottery." Larry listened, dumbfounded, unable to believe Connie could be so foolish. Definitely touched in the head. He had once loved this young, naive girl for her kindness, tenderness, and selflessness, but over the years, these qualities had begun to irritate him. After all, one needs to adapt to life, and she was still so idealistic. He decided to confront her at home, already imagining how he'd spend the money. Connie bid a warm farewell to Mr. Alvarez and, suspecting nothing, entered the house. Usually Larry wasn't home at this hour, but now he came out to meet her in the hallway, interrogating her. "Connie, I know everything. This old man who just dropped you off wants to give you an inheritance, and you're refusing, right? Have you lost your mind? I'm not a millionaire, and you barely earn anything. Don't we need the money? I'm facing a crisis. Sales are down, and a cash injection would do wonders for our life. Don't be stupid. Accept it. I hope you know where to find this benefactor." The woman couldn't tolerate such insults and shot back, "Why are you attacking me? What gives you the right to speak to me like this? To insult me? Don't you understand? I don't know this man. How can I accept his inheritance? I have no idea what he's thinking. Maybe he won't die. Maybe he'll recover. Stranger things have happened. Mr. Alvarez is a kind man, and I can't do this to him. He's just desperate now, so he's doing something rash. Of course, you're not a millionaire. I know everything too. Your mistress gets an expensive bracelet, while your wife gets nothing. Probably because you don't have enough money for both women, right? Thanks a lot. How long have you been cheating on me? What are you staring at? How can I live with you like this? Tell me. And you have the audacity to blame me." Larry hesitated. He hadn't thought Connie understood everything, but suddenly realized it was better this way. No need to be burdened with this shameful marriage any longer. He blurted out, "Well, if you know everything, listen to the end. Yes, I'm in love with another woman. I love her. And now I don't know why I fell for you. I felt sorry for the orphan, I guess. How to live? Like everyone else. Or do you think other men don't cheat? If you accept the inheritance and give it to me, I won't divorce you. You'll be lost without me. You're completely unfit for life, like a hothouse flower. You're always dreaming of some stepchildren. You should thank me for marrying you, for living in a decent and respectable family. My mum accepted you, even though it wasn't easy for her. So what's missing? Live and enjoy it, and forget what you know. But if you don't, I'll do it, and you'll be out on the street with nothing. Okay? Go ahead, call that fool old man and say you agree, and forget this unpleasant conversation." Connie was shaking, her thoughts muddled. Every word from her husband felt like a nail in her soul. She ran around the house, frantically throwing her things into a sports bag, screaming hysterically. "How dare you! It's like I'm a mongrel dog! You picked me up, washed me, and now I'm yapping here! What a fool I am! How blind I was, how I loved you! You don't have to live with me out of pity. We're getting a divorce. You can love someone else as long as you like. I'll live without you. Better impoverished than with such a scoundrel under the same roof. And who and what I inherit is none of your business. Goodbye, Larry. I hope we never see each other again." The man laughed. "You're a blessed fool. Go on. You'll crawl back, begging for forgiveness. Where are you going? Your old house has fallen into ruin over the years. There's no comfort there. How long will you last like this?" Connie ran out as if scalded. The rain hit her face and the wind burned her tear-wet cheeks. But she noticed nothing as she wandered through the evening city to her parents' old house. It wasn't very far, only 20 minutes to the bus stop, but it was scary. Darkness, street lights burning somewhere, no passers-by. Unpleasant thoughts wandered through her head. If only nothing happened. And then it did. "What's your hurry, beauty?" came a mocking voice behind her. It was echoed by another. "Yeah, she must be lost. We'll help her now." Connie turned around, frightened. 2 drunken guys loomed over her, one still quenching his thirst with a bottle of beer. "Leave me alone. I'm not touching you. Don't come near me," Connie shouted in horror. "Help!" The drunks almost grabbed the poor woman, but their ardour was cut short by someone's exclamation. "Looking for trouble, freaks? Get lost.
Leave this woman alone."
One of the drunks, the one with the beer bottle, swung it, intending to hit the unexpected protector on the head. He yelled,
"You get out of here! None of your business, or I'll give you a boost. Do you think you're a knight? Look at you, you little punk. I'll take you down with one left."
But he didn't. The stranger cleverly sent the drunk knight hero to the ground with a footstool, and his friend decided it was better to leave. He picked up his drunken companion under the arms, and both of them, swearing at anything and everything, disappeared into the depths of the street. All this happened instantly. Connie, not yet recovered from the fear, stood with her arms around her shoulders and cried. The stranger touched her arm compassionately, saying, "Calm down, it's all right. They've left and won't return. Where do you need to go? Is it far? I'll walk you." The young man told Connie that his name was Nick, and that he worked as an educator in an orphanage, also teaching children how to draw. "I love this job," he said, "mainly because I adore children, and grew up in an orphanage myself." He shared his story. "My parents died before I started school. They loved outdoor activities, and one unfortunate year decided to raft down a mountain river in a sport kayak. The kayak hit a large rock in the rapids, overturned, and my parents drowned. I was left in my grandmother's care, but she was very ill and soon passed away. With no other relatives, I was placed in an orphanage. Life there wasn't easy. The older children bullied us younger ones, and even some teachers insulted us, saying we'd amount to nothing. I lived under constant threat from peers, older students, and tutors. They only left alone those who could defend themselves. I couldn't, so I became a target. I felt angry and resentful. At night I'd often cry myself to sleep, only for everything to repeat the next day. Eventually I realized I wouldn't last long if things continued this way, so I started playing sports and learned to fight. It was necessary for survival. However, some educators treated me with kindness and warmth. I also had a friend, Ed, with whom I could share my troubles. He helped me feel better and pushed me to exercise even when it was tough. I'm grateful to him for that. I remember one wonderful birthday celebration where my friends and I enjoyed a sweet table with cake, chocolates, and exotic fruits. Later, we were taken to the amusement park in the city. I cherished this memory forever, and only later learned that the educators had paid for everything themselves. That gesture meant a lot. After graduating, I moved into my parents' apartment. I had to decide on my future quickly, so there was no one to help me. When choosing a profession, I opted to study at a pedagogical college. I wanted to dedicate my life to raising children and helping them adapt to life. I strive to pass on all my skills to my students, instilling in them a love for beauty and helping them grow into kind, empathetic people. Remembering how I lacked parental affection in the orphanage, I give my children all my warmth and support. They respond positively, which brings me joy. My dream has come true. The orphanage where I grew up was in an old building with mice and cockroaches running around. We helped the teachers catch them. The orphanage where I work now is also old and needs renovation, but that requires money. Connie listened, admiring Nick. You're a good man, Nick. You've chosen such a challenging profession. Your wife must be proud of you. You're an excellent example for the children. Nick sighed heavily. I'm single. The salary is meagre, and women these days have such high expectations. Why would they want an art teacher? Although I dream of having a family and children, I guess it's not on the cards for me. Connie, tell me about yourself. Where are you going at this late hour, and with such a large bag? This neighbourhood isn't the safest. Connie also sighed and shared her story with Nick. She felt better after opening up. That's how I ended up without a husband or children. I became attached to a boy named Eric and dreamed of adopting him, but my husband and mother-in-law were adamantly against it. Now I have nowhere to go. My childhood home was already in poor condition, and over the years it's only deteriorated further. There are no amenities. But what can I do? I'll have to make do. There are no other options. I have to go to work early tomorrow. I'm a conductor, an early riser. Nick suddenly suggested, "Don't think badly of me, but if you like, you can stay at my place tonight. It's already late, and who knows what state your house will be in when you get there. When would you even get to sleep? I live nearby. You can see my house from here. Don't worry, I won't harm you. I'll sleep on a cot in the living room, and you can have the bedroom. Tomorrow, after work, we'll go to your house. I'll help you carry your things or whatever you need. It feels good to take care of someone. You know, it's hard being alone." At first, Connie hesitated, but as she looked into Nick's kind, somewhat sad eyes, she agreed, thinking, "Whatever happens, most likely my house is in ruins by now. Maybe it's even collapsed completely." Nick kept his word. He fed Connie, gave her tea, and stayed in the living room on the sofa while Connie settled in the bedroom. She looked around. The furnishings were modest and could use some repairs, but everything was clean. At first she couldn't sleep. She kept listening. After all, the man was a stranger. But when she heard snoring from the living room, she drifted off. She thought of leaving quietly in the morning to avoid disturbing her host, but when she entered the kitchen, the light was already on. Nick was cutting bread and sausage. "Good morning, Connie. Did you sleep well? Here, take these sandwiches. I eat at the canteen, but you've been working all day. Have a bite. Are we still on for tonight? I'll help you move in." Connie felt a pleasant warmth. She looked at this plain man with thick glasses in a new light and smiled, answering, "Thank you so much, Nick, from the bottom of my heart, for defending me, rescuing me from those bullies, for giving me shelter. I'd be glad if you help me. See you tonight." They exchanged phone numbers and went about their day. Nick texted her several times, asking how she was feeling and if she'd eaten. Such simple words, yet filled with care. Larry, her husband, had always been stingy with feelings and emotions. He was not interested in how her day went. If she didn't tell him, he wouldn't ask. In the evening, Nick took Connie to her house, and both were shocked. It was utterly uninhabitable. The roof had almost completely collapsed. The porch was in ruins, weeds and desolation everywhere. Tears welled up in Connie's eyes as panic set in. Where would she go now? She couldn't afford to rent on her salary. She'd have nothing left to live on. Then Nick came to her rescue again. Taking her hand, he said, "Move in with me, permanently. I have enough space. Don't look at me like that. I'm not a creep. I won't lay a finger on you, I swear. I just genuinely want to help. Though I can't deny you're a very attractive woman. But I don't think you'd fancy someone like me. Let's just be friends, okay?" Connie was embarrassed, but realized it was her only option. "You're saving me again," she replied. "Thank you, but I insist on paying rent and for groceries. I don't want to be a freeloader. I promise I'll save up and move out eventually. Money's tight right now. I've been meaning to ask you something. Why don't we visit the orphanage where I met Eric this weekend? I'm nervous about approaching him first. I don't know how to start a conversation. You have experience. You're a teacher. I'd like to visit the child. Maybe bring him some treats." Nick agreed with pleasure and supported her. "Of course we'll go. I love children. We'll find a way to connect with your Eric. Shall we head home?" And so they began living together. Connie was timid at first, afraid to even use a spoon without asking. It wasn't her home, after all. But Nick was so pleasant and down to earth that her shyness quickly faded, and soon she was managing the small kitchen. Nick watched his bachelor pad transform subtly with Connie's presence. Nothing major, just new curtains, flower pots on the walls, a soft bath mat, and a new faucet. Connie admired Nick's paintings and convinced him to hang a framed autumn landscape. The place became even cozier. When they visited the orphanage, Connie was stunned to discover that Nick worked there and knew Eric well. The boy, seeing his favourite teacher, immediately ran up, exclaiming, "Hello, Nick. Are we having a drawing lesson today? That's great! And who's this with you? A new teacher?" Smiling, Nick sat the boy down and explained, "Hello, Eric. No, it's a day off, no lessons today. This woman's name is Connie, and we came to visit you. Look what we've brought. Help yourself, but don't be greedy. Share with your friends. Auntie Connie bought everything, so thank her. We'd also like to take you to the zoo. Would you like that? I'll arrange it." The boy's eyes lit up, hardly believing his luck. "Thank you. You're wonderful. Of course I want to go to the zoo. I'll be ready in no time." The day flew by, filled with fun. They saw beautiful, enormous fish, lizards, and peacocks with colourful tails. Eric fed the moose and roe deer cabbage leaves and carrots. Connie bonded instantly with the boy, telling him all about the animals. Nick promised that the next drawing lesson's theme would be their favourite animal. On the farewell, Eric hugged Connie, looked into her eyes, and asked hopefully, "Connie, will you visit me again? I'll be waiting. You're so nice. You remind me of my mum. Your hands are like hers, warm and soft. Tell me you'll come back." Connie fought back tears as she hugged the boy and promised. "I'll come back, my dear. I have the day off after tomorrow. I'll definitely visit. What would you like me to bring? What do you want? I don't have much money, but I'll do my best for you." The boy suddenly became serious and said, "No money? That's nothing. Come over anyway. We'll draw and go for a walk. Okay? My friends will be jealous. They all tease me that nobody visits me, that nobody needs me." Connie didn't know how to thank Nick again. "This is the happiest day of my life, and now I'll never leave Eric. I feel his heart as if it were my own, you know? He's like my own son. Do you know what documents are required for adoption? Do you think they'll let me?" Nick shook his head and replied, "I understand your emotions, and I'm overjoyed you have such a kind, loving heart. I'm very fond of children myself. I feel sorry for all of them. Everyone has such a difficult situation and has been through so much. You see, the orphanage urgently needs repairs. I'm afraid if they don't do it, they'll declare the building unsafe and close it down. I don't know whom to turn to. I've already approached the administration and sponsors. Of course, they help as much as they can, but they can't allocate money for major repairs. That's how it is. As for adoption, it's also a very difficult matter. I've thought about it many times myself. I know the list of documents by heart. You need a full family, a place to live, and a stable official income. But even if two of these things are clear, where would I get a wife? And one who wants to live on my small salary and raise a child from the orphanage? There just aren't such people." Connie listened to Nick deep in thought and then suddenly exclaimed, "You know, I have an idea. Let's go to the hospital right now. Don't ask about anything. You'll soon understand everything yourself." Connie remembered the elderly man who had promised to leave her an inheritance. But where was he now? And how could she find him? Oh, yes, he had mentioned the hospital where he was staying for an examination. Maybe he was still there. Connie recalled the hospital's number, bought fruit, baked a delicious cottage cheese casserole with raisins, and went to visit Mr. Alvarez. But what disappointment awaited her when she learned that he was in critical condition. She wanted so much to talk to him, to reassure him. She felt guilty for remembering him so late. "If it's so urgent, we can let you into the ward," the nurse on duty offered. "Who are you to him?" "I am his granddaughter," Connie blurted out without hesitation. When she entered the ward, she saw Mr. Alvarez lying on the bed with his eyes closed. He was so thin that his body was barely visible under the blanket. The elderly man heard footsteps and opened his eyes. It seemed that only his dark eyes remained on his illness-ravaged face. Connie stopped, not approaching the bedside. He smiled as if he had been waiting for her and recognized her. "Do you recognize me, Mr. Alvarez?"
"Of course, my granddaughter."
Connie was glad that he recognized her and even called her granddaughter. She didn't correct him, and he continued.
"It's good that you came. I wanted to see you before I died. God himself sent you to me. I want to tell you, my dear, that I love you very much, and that I have made a will for you. All the money and my entire inheritance I give to you."
Connie came closer to the old man and put her arm around him. "Thank you for such generosity. I feel embarrassed even. Please don't think about death. Miracles happen. God willing, you will recover. I've brought you some treats, but I am not sure if you're allowed to have them." The elderly man shook his head.
"Thank you, my dear granddaughter. I don't want to eat yet. Maybe later. Put them on the nightstand. I don't have much appetite. May God grant you all the good things in life. You've grown up to be kind. It's good that I had time to see you."
At these words, the man fell silent, as if dozing off. He probably didn't even have the strength to speak. The nurse then closed the door to the ward, saying, "Let him rest." Connie sat for a while, holding the old man's dry hand, and sighed, not knowing how she could help him. She went home, overcome by sad thoughts. How can such a good man die? He should live longer. She felt sorry for Mr. Alvarez. He had treated her so warmly, called her granddaughter, and also she was puzzled by his generosity. The next day, when Connie called the hospital to inquire about Mr. Alvarez's condition, she was told that he had died. Connie rushed to the hospital, and in the emergency room she was handed a note asking her to come to the notary's office at the specified address with the note, "It is in your interests." When Connie arrived at the office, she received a will and a letter revealing that she was Mr. Alvarez's real granddaughter. In the letter, the man detailed the true circumstances of her past. Connie's mother was Mr. Alvarez's only and beloved child. Her parents doted on her, providing everything she could want. Meg excelled in school and planned to attend university. She was also strikingly beautiful. In her second year of university, she met Andrew, a visiting construction worker building industrial facilities in a neighbouring district. She fell deeply in love with him, began skipping classes, and was eventually expelled for non-attendance. Soon after, her parents discovered she was pregnant. Meg gave birth to a girl named Connie, and initially lived with Andrew in a rented apartment. However, he soon abandoned her and the child. Her parents offered help and urged her to return home, but she turned instead to a friend who was known to love hanging out heavily. Meg, too, began hanging out and drinking a lot. One day, she took her child and moved in with this friend. Mr. Alvarez searched for her for months. 6 months later, they learned that she had left the child at an orphanage on her friend's advice and had tragically died in a car accident. The child was subsequently adopted by foster parents. Connie wept as she read the letter. "My God," she thought, "why didn't I know about this until now? So he was my own grandfather. That's why he called me granddaughter. Why didn't he tell me earlier? I could have thanked him, shown him affection. So much has been lost." Her heart overflowed with emotions, love for her grandfather, guilt and confusion about her mother's choices. Why had her mother trusted a stranger so quickly? Why had she fallen apart so easily when she had loving parents who would have protected and helped her? Connie walked home, her eyes blurred with tears. She was in shock from these revelations. Suddenly, she was a wealthy heiress, but this news brought her no joy. Instead, she felt saddened that she hadn't known her roots, her wonderful grandfather, and hadn't had the chance to care for him. It seemed she had gained and lost a grandfather in the same moment. Nick walked beside her, silently holding her hand, seeing her distress. At home, he gave her water and a sedative before gently asking, "Share it with me, if it makes you feel better. What was in the letter? You look devastated. I'm worried about you." Connie pulled herself together and told him everything. Nick sighed heavily and said, "I understand you like no one else. I know how much you wanted to know about yourself and your relatives, and just as you found your grandfather, you lost him. It's painful and difficult to process. Don't judge your mother. No one knows what drove her decisions. That's her burden to bear, and she's no longer with us. You must move forward. Let's give Mr. Alvarez a proper burial. He deserves it. He was a noble man and who, even without knowing you during his life, ensured your future before his death. May he rest in peace." He kissed Connie's forehead, and they stood, embracing, feeling the closeness of their thoughts and the kinship of their souls. Connie and Nick laid her grandfather to rest, and she entered into her inheritance, unaware of the trials that still lay ahead. After his wife left, Larry rejoiced in his newfound freedom. Now he could openly bring his mistress Rosie into his home. He bought an extravagant bouquet, champagne, and an expensive ring before meeting her. Rosie looked stunning as always, with her perfect figure, gorgeous dress and flowing hair. She accepted the bouquet graciously and asked playfully, "Hi, Larry, the bouquet is lovely. I appreciate it. What's the occasion? You seem to be in a great mood." Larry presented the ring box, opened it solemnly, and declared, "My love, I'm finally free. Connie left home for good and filed for divorce. She discovered everything about us, but I'm actually relieved. I'm exhausted from the separation and tired of hiding. Move in with me. Marry me." He expected Rosie to share his joy, but her face contorted with surprise, her eyebrow raised. She chuckled and said, "Are you serious? Or is this a stupid joke? Do you think I'm going to live with your mother? That's hilarious. Do I look crazy to you?" "No, thanks." Embarrassed, Larry hadn't considered that there might be such an issue. Connie had tolerated everything with little complaint. He tried again. "Well then, how about I move in with you? Your comfortable 2-bedroom apartment would work too. We'll be together. That's my dream." Rosie frowned again. "Listen, honey, did you ask if I wanted to get married before deciding everything for me? I'm young, beautiful, and I have my own place. I do what I want there. What do you expect me to do? Cook your meals? Wash your clothes? Adapt to your quirks? Why would I need all that? Larry, accept things as they are. As a lover, you satisfy me completely, and you try hard in bed. You're generous and gallant. But that's all. I'm an independent woman, like a cat. You can't tame me. Either everything stays as it is, or we break up. Is that clear? Why are you frozen, kitty cat? Open the champagne. I'm in the mood to relax. Will you give me a massage? Look at this gorgeous lingerie I bought in Italy." The mistress tried to pull the dazed Larry by his tie, but he recoiled, feeling humiliated and crushed. He couldn't believe that Rosie had no intention of living with him or building a family. The man stormed out, slamming the door behind him. Rosie shrugged, thinking, "Suit yourself, kitten. Tomorrow I'm going out with my girlfriend to a restaurant. Time to find a new beau." She uncorked the champagne, savouring the frothy drink as she draped her slender legs over the ottoman. Larry was just another conquest, nothing more. Larry was furious, reprimanded his mother at home. "I'm such an idiot. Why did I give Connie away? Now she's a rich heiress. Her grandfather appeared out of nowhere, left a will and died. How convenient. I didn't realise Rosie was such a snake. What do we do now, Mum?" Mrs. Creedle, who loved her son more than life itself, tried to find a solution. "Don't despair," she said. "Connie's a fool in love. She'll forgive you. You'll see. Find her and convince her to reconcile. Tell her you love her, and that you're ready to accept that boy from the orphanage. It's what she wanted most. When she comes back, I'll handle her. We'll put the money to good use. Don't worry, you're right. Even though I wasn't always fond of Connie, she'll make a fine wife. You slipped up with that bouquet and bracelet, but you can go back to how things were before." Larry decided to act. He went to Connie's old house, only to find it empty. He then headed to the garages at the depot to speak with a mechanic he knew. "You're too late, Larry," the man said. "Connie still works here, but now some guy in glasses picks her up. They walk hand in hand. I've seen them several times. She seems happy, even kisses him on the cheek." Jealousy flared inside Larry. Connie wasn't pining for him at all. She had already found a replacement. He discovered when Connie's last shift ended and waited patiently behind the garage. He watched as she emerged from the depot, hugging a skinny man with glasses. As they strolled down the street, deep in conversation, Larry rushed in front of them, blocking their path. "Well, hello, wifey," he spat. "Is this how you miss me? Who's this guy? Tell him to get lost. I've had my fun. You've had your revenge. It's over now. Come home. I love you. We have a family. Can't you hear me? I left Rosie. I swear I'm not leaving our family again. Why aren't you saying anything? Answer me." Nick tensed, unsure what to expect from this volatile man, and anxiously awaited Connie's response. She hadn't divorced her husband yet, and technically Larry was right. But Nick had fallen so deeply in love with Connie that he couldn't imagine life without her. If she chose to return to her family, he'd have to let her go. Connie stood gazing at the man she once loved and realised there was no going back. She couldn't live with Larry anymore. It was that obvious. She also knew she didn't want to part with Nick. Even if their relationship was still new, even if he wasn't rich or conventionally handsome, he was kind, steady, and would never betray her. Resolutely, she replied, "Stop this charade, Larry. I know why you suddenly came looking for me. You learned about my grandfather's inheritance, didn't you? And suddenly your love awakened, right? I don't believe you anymore, and I don't love you. I'm sorry. Please leave. We'll divorce soon, and I hope our paths won't cross again." Larry, furious, lunged at Nick with raised fists. "What do you see in him? He's a scrawny, four-eyed freak. I'll break every bone in his body." But Nick deftly neutralised his component with one precise move, twisting Larry's arm behind his back. As Larry howled in pain, Nick calmly said, "You were told to leave. Do you understand now? I love Connie, and I won't let her go." Larry had no choice but to retreat, cursing both Connie and Nick. Choking with anger and jealousy, he realised he'd been a fool again. His plan had failed. His wife was with another man. Rosie was gone, and he was alone. Nobody wanted him. This turn of events caught Larry off guard. After divorcing her husband and officially inheriting a substantial sum, Connie decided to help Nick realise his dream of renovating the orphanage. He was overjoyed at the news. They hired a team, did much of the work themselves, with help from the staff, and transformed the building. They replaced the roof, updated the plumbing, and painted the walls. They also installed exercise equipment and a playground in the courtyard to channel the children's boundless energy. These shared efforts brought Connie and Nick closer. They became a couple. Nick then proposed to Connie. "Let's adopt Eric. There's nothing stopping us now." Connie was surprised by his use of "we," but Nick anticipated her question and added, "We'll raise him together." After a brief pause, he continued, "Connie, why don't you marry me? I may not be rich, but I love you sincerely. We share common interests, and we both love Eric." That evening, he presented Connie with a ring and a huge bouquet of roses. She was overjoyed. Soon, Connie's greatest dream came true. They left the orphanage, holding their son Eric's hands. They had succeeded. They were parents now. The little boy walked proudly beside them, silent but beaming. His heart fluttered with joy, for now he had a mum and dad.